أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي العربي القرشي المكي المدني الهاشمي صاحب قاب قوسين محبوب رب المشرقين والمغربين، جد الحسن والحسين النبي الحرمين والإمام القبلتين والرسول الثقلين، الذين سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد، وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتخبين المنتجبين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روح وأرواح العالمين، لتراب مقدمه الفداء واللعنة الدائمة الباقية على أعدائهم ومنكر فضائلهم وغاصب حقوقهم أجمعين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه تبارك وتعالى في محكم كتابه ومتقن خطابه: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم، لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم، له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض، من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه، يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم، ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء، وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض، ولا يعوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. لا إكراه في الدين، قد تبين الرشد من الغي، فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها، والله سميع عليم. مساء صلوات على محمد وعلى in honor of Hazrat Zayd al-Shaheed, recite another salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And to hasten the reappearance of our awaited Imam, recite his third loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. We began our discussion regarding Tawheed of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu salam yesterday evening, and I mentioned these verses from Surah Mubarakah Baqarah, verse 255, which is Ayatul Kursi, and 256, which is the verse following Ayatul Kursi. And both of these verses are well known, their meanings are also known, their benefits are also immense, and we mentioned some of those things yesterday. And we left our discussion yesterday at the point that in order to get understanding, recognition, ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one has to go through the people who've been sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's no other way in order to understand Tawheed, in order to understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it's His essence, His Dhat, or His Sifat, His attributes, or anything to do with the matter of Tawheed. And we already mentioned yesterday that Tawheed is the most fundamental of our beliefs. All the other beliefs that we have, everything else that we believe in, is all dependent on the belief in Tawheed. So it is imperative to know and understand and get ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that we understand all the rest of our beliefs and we can explain the rest of our beliefs. And it's also imperative to know the correct understanding of Tawheed, because this would depend and would affect all the other beliefs that we have. In reality, where somebody has a problem in their beliefs, the problem is not in that belief, but in the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their origin. And so it's imperative to make sure that that belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fixed, it is got from the correct places, and the ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reached in the way that He desires for it to be reached. This is particularly important because in the matters of usul-din and the matters of belief, it is not permissible for a person to follow somebody else. In matters of furu-din, in matters of ibadat, in matters of muamalat, we are obliged to follow a mujtahid. Either to be a mujtahid or to follow a mujtahid. So most of us who are not mujtahids, we follow a mujtahid. And in those matters we are not obliged to find out the reasoning behind the ahkam, because the mujtahid is obliged to find that. We are only obliged to follow. But in the matters of aqaid, the matters of belief, it's not like that. The matters of belief, each individual is responsible to find out beliefs for themselves and to be able to justify those beliefs to themselves. Sometimes we want to know arguments, we want to know reasonings in order so that we can discuss it with other people, and that's fine. But before we discuss it with other people, I have to know this for myself. I have to be able to convince myself that the reason that I believe in these things is due to evidence, not because somebody asked me to believe in it, somebody told me to believe in it, or somebody in my family believes in it, therefore I believe in it. No, I have to be convinced through argument that this is the correct belief. Now, as we mentioned yesterday, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after saying Allahu la ilaha illahu, Allah is the one and there is no God but Him. What is He? What does He mention in terms of introducing His Tawheed? Al-Hayyul Qayyum. He is ever living and He will remain forever. In this matter, if we want to reflect on some of the historical things that have happened and how they relate to the matter of Tawheed. These facts that I'm going to tell you, you already know them. But I want that you and I want us to reflect on them from this angle of the ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is our discussion. So the facts are not going to be anything new because the Quran is the same, hadith are the same, the history is the same. I can't make up new facts. But what I can do is present those facts in light of our discussion, which is about ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's very interesting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the introduction of Tawheed says, out of all of these sifat, and you know this, that He has 99 names that are known. But He has even more than that, but 99 which are known. Out of all of those sifat, and many of them which are mentioned in Holy Quran, and those of you recall that we recite when we recite Joshan Kabir, 1,000 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Dua Joshan Kabir. Out of all of them, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose these two sifat to mention in this ayat? Al-Hayyul Qayyum. Right? Because there might be many reasons. I'm postulating some of those reasons. It's incorrect for anyone to say Hatman that this is definitely the reason. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could say, or Masumin alayhi salam could say. Everybody else can postulate and say this is probably the case. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to do tafakkur on ayat of Holy Quran. فَلَا يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. So why don't they do tafakkur? Why don't they do contemplation on these ayat? So we have to do contemplation, that this is the ayat and now we have to do contemplation. That out of all of the names He mentions Al-Hayyul Qayyum. Now yesterday as I mentioned that new atheism's concepts, the old ones or the old ways of denying the existence of God, nobody uses them anymore. No, those arguments are outdated. The new arguments or the new ways is a very aggressive form of atheism, in that it is preaching to other people that you should become atheists as well, but very aggressively. And of course, behind that there's some other agendas as well. Behind that is masking hatred against Muslim people and against religious people in a very covert way. Because when you call them out on it, they'll say, no, no, we're not hating the people, we just hate the beliefs or the religion. But you can't separate the beliefs from the people. So when you hate somebody, or when you justify that hate, you're justifying the hate against the people and not against the beliefs. We'll come back to that, inshallah. But Hayyul Qayyum. Why out of all of these sifat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Hayyul Qayyum? Now I want you to reflect on two historical facts. These two historical facts are well known to you and to everybody, every believer, every mu'min knows these facts. What are they? That Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu salam, he was born in Kaaba. Fact number one, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam was born in Kaaba. And fact number two, he was made shaheed in Masjid al-Kufa. This is very interesting, and now you're going to ask, how does this relate to Hayyul Qayyum? So I'm going to relate these two facts to Hayyul Qayyum, so then you'll know maybe one of the reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned Hayyul Qayyum here. So Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salatu salam is born in Kaaba. Now this fact is more important than, of course it's important that he was made shaheed in Masjid al-Kufa, but this one is more important. Why? Because during this time, when Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salatu salam, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu salam is born, there's very few records of this time. Right? Why? Because after the Holy Prophet comes, Sahaba Ikram will come, they will narrate things from him, so on and so forth. But during this time, there's no announcement of prophethood. There's no Sahaba, there's no people, nobody's around the Prophet, nobody to narrate anything. Right? So during this time, facts are very few. So few that, for example, if I was to ask cross-section of Muslims, that do you know where the Prophet was born? Nobody knows. Right? Because who are you going to ask? Sahaba Ikram are not there. Sahaba Ikram are going to come when Rasulullah announces prophethood 40 years of age. When Rasulullah is born, no Sahaba Ikram. So who's going to tell you where was the Prophet born? But if you were to ask, they'll say, we don't know. Or if you ask about the other companions, that do you know where Fulan was born, Fulan was born? No. It's not a notable thing. Why? Because all of these people were born in ordinary houses. Right? If you ask and somebody wants to make a guess, they would say he's born in the house of his parents. All the other companions are born in the houses of their parents. Rasulullah is born in the house of his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, for example. But we don't have any historical records about these things. But with regards to Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam being born in Kaaba, we have records, books of Tariq, books of history mention from Sunni and Shia sources, in fact even non-Muslim sources, that Ali alayhi salam was born in Kaaba. And not only the fact that he was born in Kaaba, that was a miraculous entry into Kaaba, that not through the door but through the wall, Hazrat Fatima bint Asad went, and then she came back out through the wall as well, and not through the door. But what is this relation with Hayyul Qayyum? Very important relation of this fact with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sifat of Hayyul Qayyum. And this is that we mentioned yesterday that Hay means the one that has always existed. Hayy means the one which has always existed with no beginning. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that later on there's going to be people who's going to come and claim that Ali is God. So in order to protect his Tawheed, he's mentioned that this is the sifat of God, that he exists before every beginning. He has no beginning, he has no start point. And as far as the matter of Ali ibn Abi Talib is concerned, the moment when he's shaheed, that there's more things being recorded. And later on, it has created, has a beginning, and will also have an end. Recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So this is the first matter regarding Hayyul Qayyum. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions further on in this verse, and inshallah if Allah gives us tawfiq as we go on tomorrow, day after, we'll mention some more of these details regarding this ayat, which has a very important lessons, not just for the protection in Safar and the protection for going to sleep and so on and so forth, but lessons regarding ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we come back to our point regarding the new atheism, and this is the point that we want to take further, which is what? Which is that in the era and the aspect of new atheism, how then do we introduce ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this time? With which arguments, and how do we explain ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this time? This is a very important point, and here we have to go towards the ulama of akhlaq and take some assistance from them so that we can understand human being and the need that human being has for guidance. Recite salawat ala Muhammad. Now here I'm using this example from a very famous book on akhlaq, and in fact probably the most popular and the best book on akhlaq out of all of the books. And this book is by Mullah Ahmad al-Naraqi rahmatullah alayh, called Jami'u Sa'adat. In this book he has mentioned Jami'u Sa'adat means the collection of Sa'adat, of felicities, of goodness. So he's mentioned all the spiritual ailments, all the spiritual diseases, and the cures for all these spiritual diseases. Before he mentions that, he mentions in the introduction of this book regarding the human being and the properties that the nafs of the human being has. Right? So just as human being has jism, body, human being has nafs. And nafs is very important. Why? If you want to understand the importance of nafs, we will see that when you go to a funeral, and you see that person moments ago, that person was alive, and now he's dead, or she is dead. But when you look at them, they look exactly the same. The body is exactly the same. The face is the same. The eyes, ears, mouth, all the body parts, alhamdulillah, if they died normal death. I'm not talking about the people who die in accidents, for example, al-yadu billah, or the people who die because of some kind of injury, but the people who die due to natural causes. When you look at them, the body is exactly the same. So what is it that is now different about them, that moments ago they were alive and now they're dead? Jism, the body is the same. And it's so different that moments ago you were saying this person and you mentioned their name. But as soon as they died, you don't say that person's name anymore. Now what do you say? You say bring the body. Do ghusl to the body. Person is the same person. The jism is the same. The body is the same. But he went from person to, or she went from person to body. Why? If you ask, and if we get the solution to this, then we know what is the importance of nafs. We say that moments before, the nafs was there in the body. The soul was there in the body. As soon as kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut, the nafs tasted death, that's it, it's finished. Right? So this is the importance of nafs, that everything that I'm doing is because of nafs. Not because of jism, not because of body, because body is the same. The body didn't change when the person died. Yes, after some time, if you left it, then the body will start to smell, because the life has gone out of it. Right? And so the life was the nafs that was there. Any case. So this is nafs, which is very important. So in order to understand the problems with the nafs, and in order to understand the importance of nafs, we have to know what is nafs first, and what is the capability of nafs. And if we understand these things, and then we go towards understanding and ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it would help us to understand in this day and age and in this time with the era of new arguments, how can we understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for our own selves, to protect our own selves from the arguments against from the arguments from those who are speaking out against religion and aggressively promoting this in a different way. Recite Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So Maulana Raqi says that nafs is with every person, has nafs, right? Because he says kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. So that means every human, every person has nafs. In fact, even animals have nafs, and if you go into the details about in the books of fiqh, you will see that sometimes the nafs is mentioned, anything which has a soul, for different ahkam, in any case. But we want to talk about human nafs. Other nafs we are not concerned about. We want to talk about human nafs. Human nafs, he says, has 4 capabilities. Or, if we word it a different way, all the capabilities that human nafs has can be categorized into one of these 4 categories. What are these categories? First category of human nafs is called quwwatul ghadabiyya, the capability or the faculty of anger. Right? Usually, we see this as a negative. Usually. But I want you to bear this in mind because I'll come back to this. Second capability, quwwatul shahwiyya, the capability or the faculty of desire. Similar to quwwatul ghadabiyya, we also see this quwwatul shahwiyya as a negative. Number 3, we have al-quwwatul wahmiyya, the capability of imagination. And number 4, we have al-quwwatul aqliyya, capability of intellect. All of our capabilities, everything that we do, come under one of these 4 categories, according to ulama of akhlaq. Now I want you to remember that we're not talking about akhlaq, maybe some other time. What we're talking about is ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we're using this tool in order to understand how can we get to ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala. So very quickly I want to give just one example of each of these capabilities so that we can understand and find out how can we go to ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Quwwatul ghadabiyya. Usually we see it as a negative. Usually we say this is a negative. If you mention ghadab or anger or ghussa in any language, the implication is negative. However, question: if, and I'm responsible for what I say, if this capability is wholly negative. In other words, it has no use other than being a negative, then why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this capability? Right? So that means that this capability has some use. Yes, in many ways and many occasions, many instances, it's used as a negative. But it has some use. What is the use of this quwwat al-ghadabiyya? If you see that something wrong is happening, in front of me something wrong is happening, injustice is happening, oppression is happening, anything wrong is going on, instinctively I will try to stop that wrong from happening. Correct? If I have capability to stop that, and if I can't do anything, at least I would say that this is wrong. This is only due to quwwat al-ghadabiyya. Because I have this capability to know that this is wrong and to express that this is wrong, it's called quwwat al-ghadabiyya. However, it needs to be kept in control, because if it goes out of control, we know, we have hadith, many a hadith, that what does anger do to iman, what does ghadab do to iman? It does the same as what fire does to wood, for example. Or Imam Amirul Mu'minin famous saying says that anger is like a form of madness, and the proof he gives of it, he says that when a person recovers from his anger, he is regretful about what he did. And if he is not regretful, then he should know that the madness is confirmed. So that means that it's not about the anger, it's about how do I react to the anger. So this is quwwat al-ghadabiyya. Then we've got quwwat al-shahwiyya. Quwwat al-shahwiyya is what? Is desire. Now when it comes to desire, we also see this as a negative. But again, if it's wholly a negative, then this is something that we will not have any need of in the human being. But if we didn't have quwwat al-shahwiyya, what would happen? Imagine. If we didn't have quwwat al-shahwiyya, the capability of desire, what would happen? We have the food in front of us, but we wouldn't eat it, because we have no desire. We have the water in front of us, but we wouldn't drink it, because we have no desire. And what would happen? The person would die, because the person needs food and water, otherwise they would die. So because of this desire, a person eats and a person drinks. Usually, and what's the proof of this? Proof of this is in all of our example in all of our lives. That when somebody's just eaten and then you invite them to eat, they'll say, I don't feel like it. In other words, I don't have any desire to have the food. Right? That person could still eat it, but he doesn't have any desire because he's already eaten. But if there was no desire at all, then the person will not eat, the person will not drink, the person will not go near to their wives. And then there would be no procreation, no families, no increase of humanity. So this is the other thing, that desire is necessary, but it needs to be kept in check. Then the third one, quwwat al-wahmiyya. Very quick example. This is my favorite one. Quwwat al-wahmiyya, the power of imagination. The example I always give of this, perhaps you'll say because you go on them so much, is of the aeroplanes. And what is the power of imagination concerning aeroplanes? That a human being saw that a bird can fly with its wings. Right? This is how the airplane was developed, right? That a human being saw that a bird can fly with their wings. So he decided, using his imagination, that just as the bird can fly with its wings, we can create something which should carry people. So first of all, it used to carry a few people, then it started carrying tens of people. Now you got the biggest planes which can carry 500 people at the same time, and have massively shortened distances around the world, based on the imagination of one person. All of these three, they have, so you have ghadab, and then you have shahwat, and then you have waham, imagination. All of these three are important, but they need to be controlled. They have a limit. If you go past the limit, you would cause harm to yourself and to other people. For this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made quwwatul aqliyah. That aql is supposed to control these three capabilities. And the person who reaches kamal, perfection, is the one who makes sure that the aql controls all three of these other capabilities. But we have a problem. What is that problem? Problem is that there are times where a person, because of their anger or their desire or their imagination, goes against their intellect. Right? Because that power of ghadab and that power of shahwat and that power of waham overpowers their power of aql, of intellect. So in this scenario, what do we do? Where do we turn to when this aql becomes overpowered, or this aql doesn't provide enough guidance in these matters? What do we do then? For this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent Shariat. That Shariat is there to show that which kind of anger is allowed, which kind of anger is not allowed, which kind of desire is allowed, which kind of desire is not allowed, which kind of imagination is allowed, which kind of imagination is not allowed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's message is what? Is that Shariat is not there to limit you. No, Shariat is there to protect you. Shariat has been sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Laws have been sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect you. That you use your desire and your anger and your imagination in the most positive ways. Those ways which would benefit you and those ways which would harm you. We prevented you from doing that, not because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be harmed by them. Not because Rasulullah is going to be harmed by them. Not because Amirul Mu'mineen is going to be harmed, but because you are going to be harmed. The problem and the harm will come to you, and therefore to protect you, to protect me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down Shariat. Not to limit people. No, that somebody thinks that, oh, Shariat is there to limit me. It limits my expression and it limits what I can do in my life. No, Shariat is there to protect me from harm. And this is why it's necessary to have Shariat. Why? Because intellect can only take us to a certain point. It cannot take us toward perfection. For that we need guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala. So this is the need for Shariat, the need for ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, one cannot get to Shariat without ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shariat will only come where ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there first. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made divine ordinances in order to protect me and to benefit me. Because this benefit is not going to him. There's no benefit to him. Why? Whether everybody in the universe believes in him or nobody believes in him. Allah is Allah. So it doesn't make any difference to him. To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala it makes no difference whether I believe or I don't believe. Any difference that it makes is to me alone. This is the important point that we have to keep on emphasizing. That where New Atheism says that, oh, alayadu billah, God is one that is a monster, or that he's going to punish people, or that he wants everybody to worship him. No. He doesn't need anybody to worship him. And he doesn't want to punish anyone. In fact, in regards to this, there's a hadith from Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam, where he says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives so many opportunities for a person to be forgiven. Every Thursday night he says, come, I will forgive you. Every Friday, come, I will forgive you. Every month, come, I will forgive you. Holy month of Ramadan comes, I will forgive you. Come for Hajj, I will forgive you. He gives so many opportunities for forgiveness. So Imam says, I'm not surprised at the person who gets saved on the Day of Judgment. I'm surprised that the person, after all these opportunities for forgiveness, still gets punishment on the Day of Judgment. After so many opportunities of getting punishment, we say, for example, in Dua Iftidah, which we recite in the holy month of Ramadan, that I turned away from you, and you called me, as though it was you who needed me, whereas in reality it's me who needs you. Right? So he's giving all these opportunities that you can still come and get forgiveness even after everything has happened. Now, ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very important. Now, what do we mean that ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very important? This ayah tells us, وَسِعَا كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. His kursi, it encompasses, wasi'a, was'at, it encompasses everything in the heavens and everything in the earth. So, some mufassirin of Quran wrote that kursi means chair. You know, in Arabic, Farsi, Urdu, kursi means chair. But does kursi means chair mean chair in this particular instance or not? And why it cannot mean chair? Why? Because kursi, meaning chair in the way that we understand it, like that chair over there, has some physical properties. It's made of a physical substance, whether it's plastic or wood or metal. And it has some physical characteristics. It has 4 legs, and it has a handle, and it has a back so that somebody can sit on it. But that kind of kursi is needed by whom? This kind of kursi that you and I recognize as chair is needed by human beings who have physical properties. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no physical properties. Anybody who believes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has physical properties has done shirk. Why? Somebody came to Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salatu salam, and he said that, can we imagine Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our mind? I'm paraphrasing the hadith. Imam alayhi salam says to him that if you imagine something in your mind, that imagination, that waham, that takhayyul, is a creation of your mind. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator, He is not the creation. Right? If I made some kind of imagination in my mind, and human beings have power of imagination, we already mentioned. I'll give you an example which is very close to your mind. Recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala. It's an instinctive thing. If you haven't been somewhere and somebody tells you about that place, for example, I've never been to this Hussaini, I'll come here for the first time. So somebody told me about this place, that there's a Hussainiya in, there's an Imam Bargah, there's a center in Orlando. So I have an imagination about this place in my mind. And everybody instinctively, wherever you hear about a place and you've never been there, you have an imagination about that place in your mind. And then when you go there and you see the place, sometimes it matches with your imagination. But many times it's different to what you imagined. And you think to yourself that I imagined this to be like this, but it's not. Because human being has capability to imagine things. So this imagination is about things that actually physically exist. So this person says that we want to try and imagine Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because it's instinctive reaction. So Imam says if you imagined him, then you created him, you gave him a physical creation in your mind. And that creation is a creation, it can't be the creator. It can't be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says, how then do we understand? How do we get to ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Imam says you don't get to ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by thinking about His Dhat, His essence. You get to ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His sifat, through His characteristics. When you see in the world His characteristics, that He's Hayy, He's Qayyum, He's Rahim, He's Rahman, all of these characteristics that He has, these characteristics are the way that you recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No. If you want to recognize Him through His characteristics, how do we know what are His characteristics? So for that He sent His representatives to showcase those characteristics in human form. That's why we say, one of the titles of Aimma alayhi salatu salam, that they are the madhar of sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Reflection of His attributes. To say something is a part of His Zat, of His essence, is shirk. But they are not even part of His sifat, because His Zat and sifat are not separated. They are reflection, madhar of His attributes. That if you want to see attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that a human being can accomplish, then you look at Masumeen alayhi salatu salam to understand that attribute. And if you don't do that, then what happens? Wasi'a kursiyu samawati wal ard, that His kursi extends over heaven and earth. I'm going to give the translation of this. But before that, what happens if you don't go towards Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam? Then you find there's a narration. What does this narration say? You have to promise that you don't laugh, because it's a very serious matter. Recite salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi. This narration says, alleged narration, that on the day of judgment, everybody will be gathered. The sun will be at the lowest point. People will be sweating one day worth 50,000 years, as you all know. And on that day, there will be a kursi. Doesn't say what's going to be made of, but there will be a kursi. And on that kursi, there's going to be a fat, dark-skinned person sitting. And this fat, dark-skinned person is aliyadu billah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then, once the judgment has been given out and people have been sent into hell and heaven, then the hell will call out that I'm not full up yet. So this fat, dark-skinned person sitting on the chair will put his leg into the hellfire. Right? It sounds like it's comedy, but it's a serious thing. And this person would put their leg into the hellfire, and then the hellfire would say that now I'm content, I'm complete. This is mentioned in the understanding of kursi, that on the day of judgment there will be arsh, and the most powerful and the most high, into the monster that the atheists are warning us about. And so we get an understanding that why is it that people attacked belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we had things like these existing and people mentioning these things as beliefs. So Imam ﷺ was asked regarding wasi'a kursiyuhu samawati wal ard, that Yabna Rasulullah, tell us, what does it mean? Imam says that if you imagine that kursi is physical, arsh is physical, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is physical on top of that, then this is all shirk and kufr. Because anything that has physical attributes is not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because the physical attributes are limiting. Physical attributes are limiting. What does it mean? It means that if I'm here, I can't be in that room. Why? Because I'm physically limited to this space. Because of my physical attributes, I am physically limited to this place. If I'm here, I can't be in the other room. And if I'm here, I can't see through the wall. Because the wall is also physical, has physical attributes, which is blocking my view from to the other room and from the other room. So the person from the other room can't see me unless there's camera. And nor can I see inside that room unless there's another device to see. But otherwise the wall is blocking because of the physical attributes of the wall and the physical attributes of myself. These are all things which are limiting. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no limiting, and therefore He cannot, because He is not limited, He cannot have any physical attributes. Because physical attributes are a sign of being limited. So Imam ﷺ asked that, what does it mean? وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. So he replies, he says, وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Here refers to His knowledge, that His knowledge extends over everything in the heavens and everything on the earth. That He knows about everything, and therefore He has control over everything. Why? Because knowledge is the form of control that He has, because He has knowledge over everything from the beginning to the end, everything in the heavens, everything in the earth. Therefore He has control over it. And that means that He has a responsibility. Recite Salawat ala Muhammad wa And His responsibility is what? His responsibility is to provide guidance. Because He has this control, His responsibility is to provide guidance. So this is qaida kulliyah. This is a general principle, applying to everyone. Which is what? Is that if you have some rights, if you have some authority, if you have some power, then you have some responsibility attached to it. We have a saying in English that you all had, with great power comes great responsibility. This is the principle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala applies this principle to Himself. He doesn't have to, but He applies it to Himself before demanding it from other people. What does He say? He says, Inna alayna lal huda. It was upon us to provide the guidance. In other words, it's Allah's responsibility to provide the guidance. So we provided it. We sent down the prophets, we sent down the imams, we sent down the guidance. So then what happens? وَإِنَّ لَنَا لَلْآخِرَةِ وَالْأُولَى. So now akhirat and this life, both of them belong to us. Responsibility first, power and rights afterwards. Says that this was my responsibility. I fulfilled that responsibility. Now I have power over dunya and akhirat. Everything belongs to me. This principle is also replicated in the representatives of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything else that we want to mention about the ayat and the second ayat will come inshallah tomorrow and the day after. Time today for today is up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's representatives are His representatives because they are reflection of His characteristics. So just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfilled His responsibility, then He mentioned His power. Similarly, His representatives are the same. Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, when he refuses to give allegiance to Yazid, and he gives the reasoning why he's refusing to give allegiance, he could stay in Medina. and let Yazid come and attack him in Medina. But he has a responsibility. What is this responsibility? This responsibility is that Rasulullah in his time when he came to Medina signed an agreement with the tribes around who lived in and around Medina. One of the points in that agreement was what? Was that in Medina there's going to be no fighting. In the city of Medina, no fighting. For this reason, Rasulullah and Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam are so cautious, salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi, that when the Rasulullah gets the news that the Makkans are coming, he goes to Badr, so that there's no fighting in Medina. Then he gets news they're coming again, so he goes to Uhud. No fighting in Medina. Even when they attack at the day of Khandaq, on the day of Ahzab, Imam Amirul Mu'mineen kills Amr ibn Abdul outside the trench to make sure that the agreement is not violated. And I want you to remember this point about Battle of Ahzab because we'll come to it tomorrow, inshallah. All the battles, he makes sure no fighting in Medina. Even though at the Battle of Ahzab they have violated the agreement. Why? Because they attacked Rasulullah after making an agreement that we're not going to attack. But Rasulullah doesn't violate the agreement from his side. After Rasulullah, sometimes we ask the question, Ya Ali, why did you remain quiet? You say, remember, it's the responsibility of the true successor of the Prophet to make sure that his agreements are not violated. Therefore, no fighting in Medina. So Imam Amirul Mu'mineen, maybe he might say to us that if you saw that they usurped my right somewhere else, then you would have seen what I did with them. But they did it in Medina, so therefore no fighting. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, after signing peace treaty from Kufa, comes back to Medina, and no fighting in Medina. Imam Hussain shows that, look, if Rasulullah made an agreement, then every successor of Rasulullah, who's the true successor of Rasulullah, will make sure that that agreement stays in place. So he leaves, comes to Makkah. In Makkah, he also says the same thing, that I don't want there to be fighting here. Why is he doing this? He's saying that I have a responsibility. Imagine if the Imam Hussain was killed in Ihram during Tawaf, we would be saying to each other, how can we go for Hajj? When the grandson of the Prophet was not spared in Ihram, how could we feel safe going to Hajj? So he leaves Makkah as well. Now he's going towards Kufa, they don't let him go to Kufa, he comes to Karbala. When he comes to Karbala, he still makes all the efforts all the way up to the 10th of Muharram. That we want you to understand, we want you to save yourselves. Whether you save yourselves or not is your responsibility, but we want you to try and save yourselves. And particularly after the day of Ashura is the responsibility of the women and children, even in their difficult situation. Imagine that you've been taken as prisoner on camels which have no saddles. Allahu Akbar. Your hands are tied behind your back, and you're tied to camels which have no saddles. And what happens? The enemies, they instruct the camels to ride faster. So what happens when they ride faster? Imagine you have women who have babies, who have children with them, and their hands are tied behind their backs, and they're tied to camels with no saddles, and the camel runs fast, the babies fall off of their lips, and they get trampled by the camels. Every time a baby drops from the camel, it gets trampled. Zainab Salamullah alayha comes down from her camel. she buries the baby. And she writes on the grave, هذا محسن Karbala. This is the Muhsin of Karbala. This is the one who's done a favor to Karbala. Why? Because when people will pass through these places and they will see babies being buried here, they will ask what happened, why are babies buried here? Why are babies buried here? These are the days where Ahl Haram, the women and children, they entered into Damascus, into Sham. Yesterday I mentioned that they entered into the bazaar, the marketplace in Sham. Now they entered into the Darbar, the court of Yazid. Allahu Akbar. They entered into the court of Yazid. In the court of Yazid are present dignitaries from all the places. And amongst all of this, Yazid asks, he says to Shimr, he looks at the Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, and he says, who is this young man? And Yazid says, Shimr says to Yazid, this is Ali ibn al-Husayn. This is Ali ibn al-Husayn. So Yazid asks, but I heard Ali ibn al-Husayn was killed at Karbala. I would just want you to imagine for a moment that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam is giving this reply, and when he gives this reply, he's reliving that moment. Imagine. He says, that was my brother Ali al-Akbar. Imagine, just imagine that your brother got killed in that way, that there was a spear thrust into his chest, and you saw that happening, and you had to relive that moment. Allahu Akbar. At that moment, Yazid says, kill the young man. So Yazid says, why didn't you kill him? Shimr says, he was ill, we thought that his illness is going to kill him. So Yazid says, kill him. As soon as the person, the executioner, comes forward to kill Imam, Bibi Zainab Salamullah alayha comes forward. And she says, Yazid, you can't kill him. If you want to kill him, you have to kill me first. Allahu Akbar. Yazid says, kill both of them. At that moment, a child speaks. Now imagine, dignitaries from all the countries are present. And a 3-year-old child speaks. What does this child say? I want you to listen to what he says first, then I'll tell you who the child is. This child speaks, and he says, Yazid. He says, Yazid, do you know that when Fir'aun called Musa and Harun into his court, and Musa and Harun preached the message of God to him, he wanted to kill them, but he wasn't able to. He says, Yazid, do you know why? Yazid is silent. He says, I don't know. The young child says, do you know that when Yusuf's brothers took him away from his father and they threw him into the well, they wanted to kill him, but they were unable to do so? Says Yazid, do you know why? Again, Yazid says, I don't know. The 3-year-old child says, I'll tell you why. He says, why? He says, because Pharaoh and the brothers of Yusuf, they were of legitimate birth. They were waladul halal. They were sons of their parents. They were not waladul zina or waladul hayd. They were not illegitimate. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that the killer of ma'soom, killer of a person who is a prophet or an imam, is one who is waladul haram, waladul zina, waladul hayd. So if you kill my father, then you would prove what you are. Allahu Akbar. This 3-year-old child is your 5th Imam, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, who spoke with such eloquence like his grandfather Amirul Mu'mineen in the court of Yazid. And he's the eyewitness to Karbala. I just want to mention one sentence from him. and inshallah you would weep and we will have acceptance of this majlis. He's an eyewitness to Karbala, 3 years old at the event of Karbala. Later on somebody asks him, he says to him, Yabna Rasulullah, in the event of Karbala, who was the most oppressed personality? Who was the personality who was oppressed the most? Imam alayhi salatu wasalam began to weep. And he said to the person, you asked me the most painful question. Allahu Akbar. He says, you asked me the most painful question. He says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, tell me. Imam alayhi salam says, the most oppressed person in the story of Karbala is our aunt Zainab salamullah alayha. He said, why? He said, every time somebody came to whip any one of us, every time somebody came to kill any one of us, every time somebody came to hurt any one of us, she would come in between us and that person, so that when she reached Medina, she was the one who had been whipped the most, the one who had been lashed the most, the one who had become unrecognizable, that when she reached Medina, even her own husband didn't recognize her. Ala wa la'natullahi ala al-qawmi al-zalimin wa saya'lamu alladhina dhalamu ayyamun qalbi yanqalibun. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for acceptance of our majlis and the acceptance of our tears and the place of our tears in the handkerchief of Zahra salamullah alayha, and for the forgiveness of our sins and the elevation of the status of our marhumin for the sake of our tears, and for the protection of followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, especially those going through suffering, their lives, their honor, their dignity, their wealth and their families. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to act according to the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, to give us the ziyarat in our lifetimes and shafaat in the next life, and to hasten the reappearance of our awaited Imam, and to make us amongst those who serve him. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم بحق محمد وآله الطاهرين. ماتم حسين.
کشت عالم زینب کو بھلا آرام کہا ہے آرام کہا ہے آرام کہا. کشت عالم زینب کو بھلا آرام کہا ہے آرام کہا ہے. قتل شبیر بھی عباس بھی اکبر بھی ہوئے، کٹ گئے اون محمد کے بھی مقتل میں گلے. لاشا ابن حسن ہو گیا پامال جفا آرام کہا ہے آرام کہا ہے آرام کہا. کشت عالم میں زینب کو بھلا آرام کہا ہے آرام کہا ہے. رو رو کہتی تھی سکینہ میرے امو آؤ، مجھ کو مارے نہ لیں آنکھیں نے سمجھاؤ. کیوں نہیں سنتے ہو دیتی ہوں تمہیں کب سے صدا آرام کہا ہے آرام کہا ہے آرام کہا. کشت عالم میں زینب کو بھلا آرام کہا ہے آرام کہا ہے. قافلہ جاتا ہے اب شام کے بازاروں میں، قافلہ جاتا ہے اب شام کے بازاروں میں. چلتے ہیں اہل حرم ظلم کے انگاروں میں، چلتے ہیں اہل حرم ظلم کے انگاروں میں. ہر قدم ہوتی ہے بیمار پر ایک تازہ جفا آرام کہا ہے آرام کہا ہے آرام کہا. کشت عالم میں زینب کو بھلا آرام کہا ہے آرام کہا ہے. بچے جو خاک پہ گرتے ہیں کچل جاتے ہیں، بچے جو خاک پہ گرتے ہیں کچل جاتے ہیں، غم سے دل ماؤں کے سینے سے نکل آتے ہیں، غم سے دل ماؤں کے سینے سے نکل آتے ہیں، کوئی سنتا نہیں بیواؤں کی فریاد و فغاں، آرام کہاں ہے آرام کہاں ہے، کشت عالم میں زینب کو بھلا آرام کہاں ہے آرام کہاں ہے آرام کہاں، یا حسین 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 یا حسین،
شام جاتے ہوئے رو کے سجاد نے کہا السلام اے بے کس بابا، بے کس بیٹے کا سلام، شام السلام علیہ یا غریب حسین، السلام علیہ یا غریب حسین، میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں، میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا، ہے میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں، میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا، ہے میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں، میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا، میں ساتھ پھوپھی کے اے بابا، میں ساتھ پھوپھی کے اے بابا قرآن سناؤں گا، میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں، میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا، ہے میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں، میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا، ہو تم پہ سلام میرا اے میرے غریب پدر، ایک قافلہ تھا تیرا ایک میں بھی چلا لے کر، میں ابن حسین ہوں اے بابا، میں ابن حسین ہوں اے بابا، ظالم کو بتاؤں گا، میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں، میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا، ہے میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں، میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا، تیری پیاری سکینہ بھی میرے ساتھ سفر میں ہے، ہر غام پہ شہزادی بھائی کی نظر میں ہے، میں دھوپ میں رہ کر اے بابا، میں دھوپ میں رہ کر اے بابا اس سائے میں لاؤں گا، میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں، میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا، ہے میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں، میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا، زینب کو بن چادر جب دیکھ نہ پاؤ گے، ہائے نو کسنا سے پھر قرآن سناؤ گے، آواز میں تیری اے بابا، آواز میں تیری اے بابا، آواز ملاؤں گا، میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں، میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا، ہے میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں، میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا، ایک راسی میں بابا ہائے بار گلے ہوں گے سب چھوٹے بڑے بابا ایک ساتھ بندھے ہوں گے محمل سے گرتے بچوں کو محمل سے گرتے بچوں کو سینے سے لگاؤں گا میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا ہے میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا ہم قیدی بنے ہوں گے دربار سجا ہوگا ہے تاشت تلا میں اور سر تیرا رکھا ہوگا اس پل میں سکینہ کو بابا اس پل میں سکینہ کو بابا کس طرح سنبھالوں گا میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا ہے میں ایک بے کس پردیسی ہوں میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا
جو محمد کا نواسا ہے یہ سر اس کا ہے جو محمد کا نواسا ہے یہ سر اس کا ہے جو محمد کا نواسا ہے یہ سر اس کا ہے جس کو 9 لاکھ نے مارا ہے جس کو 9 لاکھ نے مارا ہے یہ سر اس کا ہے جو محمد کا نواسا ہے یہ سر اس کا ہے جو محمد کا نواسا ہے یہ سر اس کا سر اٹھائے ہوئے کولی یہ صدا دیتا ہے سر اٹھائے ہوئے کولی یہ صدا دیتا ہے علی اکبر کو جو روتا ہے علی اکبر کو جو روتا ہے یہ سر اس کا ہے جو محمد کا نواسا ہے یہ سر اس کا ہے جو محمد کا نواسا ہے یہ سر اس کا ہے پانی پیتا رہا خود سامنے قاتل جس کے پانی پیتا رہا خود سامنے قاتل جس کے ذبح ہو کر بھی جو پیاسا ہے ذبح ہو کر بھی جو پیاسا ہے یہ سر اس کا ہے جو محمد کا نواسا ہے یہ سر اس کا ہے جو محمد کا نواسا ہے یہ سر اس کا حرملا نے جس گھوڑے سے گرانے کے لیے حرملا نے جس گھوڑے سے گرانے کے لیے تیر پیشانی پہ مارا ہے تیر پیشانی پہ مارا ہے یہ سر اس کا ہے جو محمد کا نواسا ہے یہ سر اس کا ہے
السلام علیکم یا ابا عبداللہ السلام علیکم یا ابن رسول اللہ السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ السلام علی الحسین وعلی علی ابن الحسین وعلی اولاد الحسین وعلی اصحاب الحسین خصوصاً سیدی و مولاي بالفضل عباس ابن امیر المومنین وقاسم ابن الحسن ومسلم ابن عقیل وہان ابن عروہ وحبیب ابن مزاحر وحور شہید الریائی السلام علیکم یا ساداتی و موالی جمیع ورحمت اللہ وبرکاتہ السلام علیکم یا آقائے غریبان مولائے بے کسان بادشاہ خراسان ضامنان یتیمان السلطان یا ابوالحسن یا علی ابن موسیٰ الرضا روحی و جسم لک الفدا ورحمت اللہ وبرکاتہ السلام علیکم یا مولانا یا صاحب العصر والزمان السلام علیکم یا شریک القرآن السلام علیکم یا امام الانس والجان عجل اللہ تعالی فرجک وساہر اللہ مخرجک یا سیدی ابن الزرا ورحمت اللہ وبرکاتہ
شجاعت حسین کی صحت یابی کے لیے آپ لوگ 5 مرتبہ اما یوٹیوب پڑھ لیں.
بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم اما یجیب المضطر اذا دعا ویکشف السوء 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 ربنا تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمین آمین یا رب العالمین.
مومن و مومنات، ایک مومنہ کی سرجری ہوئی ہے، ان کی صحت یابی کے لیے اور کل مومن اور مومنات کی صحت یابی کے لیے بلند سے بلند تر صلوات. اور مومن و مومنات یہ اعلان بھی ساتھ ساتھ سماعت فرما لیجئے. اکتوبر 19 فرائیڈے کو شب بیداری کا انعقاد کیا جا رہا ہے یہاں پر، جو کہ پاکستان سے میر حسن میر تشریف لا رہے ہیں، احسن نقوی ہیں اور علی کاظمی یہاں پر موجود ہوں گے، آپ کے سامنے نوحہ خوانی اور سلام پیش کریں گے. اور ٹائمنگ اس کے 8 بجے 8 PM پہ نماز ہے، اس کے فوراً بعد نیاز کھلائی جائے گی، اس کے فوراً بعد ہی جو ہے مجلس صدر شروع کر دی جائے گی. تمام مومن اور مومنات سے شرکت کی درخواست ہے.